Welcome to the first episode of the Better Together podcast. I'm Justin, and
And
sorry.
I'm Bree.
We're supposed to be better together, not fighting against each other. So, we thought about making a joke in the beginning of this podcast of saying, "And we're better together," but that's just too much.
We aren't that extra. We just aren't.
No, we're not touching knees. We're not staring deeply into each other's eyes. No, but we wanted to make a podcast that's in the strange stream of podcasts. So obviously, you're in the more God, less me family of podcasts, or at least this is showing up in the same podcast stream as those other podcasts. We have that podcast. We also have a podcast called God Notes. Both those podcasts are also hosted by me, with sometimes Bree appearing in those, depending on what's going on that week. And those podcasts are very more focused on getting deeper with God and Christian teaching. And I think that those things are so very important.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know the kind of stuff that I like to listen to. And while I like to listen to podcasts like that, there's also nice to listen to podcasts that aren't teaching.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a minute to not have to really focus or process much. You just need something silly going on.
Yeah, and some of my favorite podcasts to listen to are just like a couple hosts or, a few hosts, whatever it is. A few people just sitting down and just talking, just hanging out. There's several podcasts I listen to like that. I used to listen to a podcast done by a radio show, and they had an additional podcast that they would do at the end of the day, and that's what it was. And to be honest, I enjoyed that much more than like the well-produced show. Like, they're just talking about life and like random things or stories or stuff that they found interesting.
Yeah, and that's one that I actually didn't mind listening to. I'll be honest, guys, I'm not a podcast person. I don't listen to a bunch of stuff. I am a stay-at-home mom, so there's a lot of noises going on around me all the time. So I don't necessarily want to listen to other people talk, but I do enjoy doing this with Justin. So that's nice. But that was a podcast that was a nice reprieve at times. It was lighthearted. And
so two things. One, on this podcast, I think we should be better of like talking to each other and not trying to present either.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that for both of us in the beginning, so that way we don't get caught up in anything. But also, I think your problem is like you haven't found a podcast that like clicks with you yet. But you've not looked for a podcast that clicks with you. You've just been forced to listen to podcasts that click with me.
Yeah.
So like you don't really you don't know what you would like at a podcast really because you've not searched out podcasts. But you're content not to. I like a mixture of both. So I like to be able to listen to things, and then like I like to be able to listen to music. It just depends on the moment. But I kind of like the idea of just it's like what TV is in a way. And sometimes like if you've ever finished like a series or a season of a TV show and you get to the end, you're like, man, now I miss my friends, because like you listen to these people talk long enough and like you become friends with them,
Yeah, I get that.
But you've just not done that. You've not like found a podcast that clicks with you.
No.
But I still think that's what's funny is like everything nowadays says like you have to have a niche. And you have to do things in these certain ways because that's how you're going to gain an audience. And sure, that could probably be true. But I'll tell you, personally, I get pretty bored and I change things constantly.
Yeah, all the time. I will testify to that fact.
Music, cameras, stuff like all the time. Like it's constantly like, and it's cyclical. And what it comes down to is like YouTube. And I get bored with a subject because I kind of run out of new, interesting content to watch about that subject.
And then on to the new one.
So I switch to the next subject, and then by the same time next year, I'm back in the same things again.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. But with podcasts that aren't about anything, or anything specific, at least. I mean, everything's about something.
Yeah.
But like, it's not about anything in specifics, then you get to just enjoy like random conversations and things come up and it's interesting and people tell stories and I like to experience life. And I think when people aren't just coming out to teach you something, you get to experience life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think would be a fun way to do a podcast. And the other side of that, so most of the ones that I listen to now, especially, like I don't really listen to anything that's not Christian. And that's the whole point of making this podcast is just giving something else for people to listen to that's wholesome and Christian. And like, it's not like we're going to be teaching specifically about God. Not that we won't ever, because,
it happens. We are Christians. comes out.
God willing, we're going to do what he wants.
Yeah.
It depends on what God leads us to do. And yeah, like you're saying, like, because sometimes we may look at news articles, which is something that we're going to do some of today. And like, and not in this case, because I just found some silly stuff. I don't know if what you've brought to the table here, but, or to the couch here, but, it may come up like that's just where your worldview is. But it's not going to be vulgar stuff. It's not going to be inappropriate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be stuff that's still edifying, even if it's not about anything in particular.
Yeah.
Just something to laugh and goof off about.
Yeah. That's all I got.
You don't have any views?
I'm just along for the ride right now.
See, first of all, like this kind of stuff is always my thing, my idea. But I saved her today because I wanted her to almost consider being a part of like all three podcasts. But I figured that it was probably
But
better.
I had a birthday party to go to.
Yeah, well, that helped too. Well, hopefully I'm not going to try to record 3 podcasts in a day every week. Hopefully we can find a way to break that out a little bit better. But it just worked out today that I had the time, the inspiration, and the desire to just get it done. So I was like, I'm just going to do them all. So this will be my 3rd hour of talking for the day.
Which, if you know Justin, it's rather abnormal for him.
Yeah, I think a lot.
Lots
but I've got to get
thinking.
better about saying things, and I think hence recording these things as podcasts.
Yep.
So definitely check out the other 2 podcasts in this stream if you haven't yet, because those hopefully are decent. That's yet to be determined because no one else has heard them except for God.
He's the ultimate judge.
And he's our father, though, so he tells us it's good. It's like any parent. No. So I was thinking about, like, what are we going to talk about? And obviously, like, there's so much life stuff we could talk about, but then it still feels like weird. Like, I feel like going forward, because I didn't do it this week for this podcast, but I think going forward, like, I will try to take note of different things that either happen or I see. That's like, that would be a fun thing to just talk about.
Okay. And
so that's 100% going to be the way. But then in times like this, when I don't have anything to talk about, I'm just going to turn to the internet and let the internet tell me what to talk about, because, man, there's some weird stuff. There's stuff that we're not even going to talk about, that it was weird. A bearded dragon was captured on the loose in Indiana this week. I don't even know where you go with that. The best part of that story is that apparently somebody called in an animal on the loose, and the firemen showed up and found a bearded dragon. If you don't know what a bearded dragon is, it's a lizard, but it's only like a foot long.
Yeah.
From the nose to the tail, not the body, to the end of the tail. These aren't big, intimidating creatures. In conjunction with that story, I didn't even tell you this one because she was sitting next to me. But I was like, I don't want you to know everything I'm looking at, but I have to tell you some of this stuff. But in conjunction with that story, there was an alligator on the loose. And then they showed up, and it was a tegu, which that is a big lizard. That's a much larger lizard. That's like a 3-foot lizard, but it looks nothing like an alligator. Well,
I guess maybe if you don't know reptiles.
Okay. You remember
back into the cycles thing.
Well, yeah, I have problems. But if you remember back, like, I don't know if it was it was probably a couple years ago, in our area, there was a police officer working night shift who said he saw a tiger. And then the TWRA began to question this man and show him pictures of animals. And he identified a bobcat as a tiger. I'm assuming that most other people have some kind of understanding of what both of those animals are.
Like, people have been to the zoo.
A tiger is much larger and much different looking than any bobcat ever is. First of all, stripes, orange.
Yeah.
Like
2 big things just right there.
Hundreds of pounds versus maybe you're talking I don't even know how much a tiger is, but it's got to be 500 pounds or something like that.
Let's find out.
But a bobcat weighs almost nothing compared to a tiger, I don't even know. Let's see. I'm searching, you're searching, so somebody's got to try to keep this thing moving.
Yep. So a tiger, a male, weighs, 200 to 680 pounds.
You said what now?
A male weighs up to 680 pounds.
Okay. So a bobcat male weighs anywhere between 14 and 40 pounds.
So
I thought that a bobcat would weigh more than that, because I've seen a bobcat and it seemed bigger than 40 pounds.
Our dog is over double the size of a bobcat.
Yeah. Which I still wouldn't want to play with a bobcat.
No, those claws. Ouch.
No, this wasn't even supposed to be our subject. wow, see, this is the best thing. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Now, another weird story, and this is only applicable to us
Mhm.
because, and I don't even have it pulled up, but I remember. You'll see
Okay.
why. Is we've talked about in the past, like wanting to be able to do like some different farm stuff,
Mhm.
like farm family activity type
Yeah.
things, and that's like a dream type thing in the
Mm.
future. And one of those ideas is to like have a field of flowers or even sunflowers
Yes.
to let people take pictures in. Okay. Well, obviously this is a thing that happens other places. We're not
Yeah.
originators of this thought. So there's a family that has a farm with sunflowers.
Mhm.
They have had to ask and put signs up to have people stop taking inappropriate pictures
What?
in the sunflower field because
Like,
people are seeing people without clothes,
oh my goodness.
like fully. Happened
Like what?
6 times.
Why would you think that that's okay?
It happened 3 times in one day.
3 times in. Oh my.
3 times in a day. And they were like, we can't. They're like, people, we've had people, like, it's happened before in the
Like,
past.
why would you think?
Why would you want to?
Like,
Like, what are
there's
you
gonna
going to
be
do with
kids
that?
around.
Yeah.
It's a flower field.
They were like, well, the weird part is that this is a massive place. Like, you could probably hide and do that. Nobody would know any different. They said, but this was like blatant.
What
Now,
in
this is
the
supposed to be a
world?
happy podcast, so I don't get in there. But you got to think about, like, oh my gosh. I never
Oh.
even would have thought. I'm so glad. Like, could you imagine?
Oh my god.
Because,
We
like,
would die.
yeah, I'd be like, uh.
Call the police.
yeah,
Streaker running through the
you,
farm.
somebody's streaking at our farm. But yeah, it's that easy to find weird news stories.
Oh my
That didn't take
goodness.
me any time.
Oh.
My
Mm.
So the one that I actually planned on talking
Mhm.
about is Google gave me an article, and it is titled "The Weirdest Town Names in Tennessee."
In Tennessee.
In Tennessee,
Ooh.
and we live in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I've never once heard of any of these towns. Now,
Ducktown, Frogtown.
we
Got
actually
those.
we've gone to Ducktown. It's a fine place.
Yes.
No ducks.
No, not that we've ever seen.
Not that I've seen there. I assume there have to
We're
be.
driving through, so
But
could just be missing them.
so a lot of these are obviously small towns,
Yes.
which is part of the reason that we've never heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the first town, it makes a lot of sense why you've never heard of it, and that's because it's named Nameless. Yeah, the name of the town is Nameless, and they even have a nameless post office. Apparently, it says that they applied for a post office without a name, and Washington returned the application as Nameless, and that's what they named it. So there's literally a town, and it's not that far from us, but it's unincorporated, so there's not really anything there. But you could at least drive through and find the Nameless sign and take a picture with it. A town I don't want to visit is the Bitter End.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, that's in East Tennessee. It's near Elizabeth. Well, it says 120 miles away from Elizabethton, so that's doesn't help me much.
No, not at all.
Because then Elizabethton is like far east.
Yeah.
And so 120 miles means you're coming back west a little bit. So it's probably closer to us than it is to them. I don't know why they called that town.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, Bitter End. What was I going to say? There's some good hiking trails, but other than that, there is nothing in Bitter End. And they don't know why they named it that. It's kind of like a sad letdown. Another weird one is Nutbush.
Nutbush? Okay. But real quick, though, there is also I think that's a restaurant or something in Dallas, Texas. There's also a Bitter End.
Oh, well.
Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, then there's a city called Nutbush, but that's where Tina Turner's from. I thought it was an interesting fact. I didn't know that. But, let's see here. Yum Yum.
Yum Yum?
Yeah.
Oh, did they get the Yum Yum sauce?
No. So it was named after a candy that was being sold at a guy's store, which seems weird. And then there's one town that sounds like it would be hard to find, but it's actually pretty easy, and that's called Difficult. I don't know why you would name your town that. Let's see if I'm trying to remember what it says. Yeah, they don't have a reason. Okay, here's one with a reason, and it was kind of a letdown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Sweet Lips, Tennessee, which by far is probably one of the strangest names on this list. But it says the legend has it that the tiny community got its name. So honestly, I'm reading this and I'm like getting excited. I'm like, this is going to be a good reason. And then it says, after a passerby drank from a creek and was overheard saying, "It's sweet to my lips." Like, isn't that a letdown? Like, you're thinking, like, there's going to be some kind of funny story.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's just, we've got some good water.
Yeah.
So good, it's sweet to your lips. We should call it Sweet Lips.
So real quick, back to the bitter end. It's right beside Roan Mountain.
Oh,
Like,
how's that 120 miles?
I don't know.
Somebody
It's
does the
2.5
math.
hours from us.
From us, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't be 2.5 hours or 2 hours from Elizabethton.
Yeah.
It should be just right over the way.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got Guys, Tennessee, but there are women that live there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they made sure to make us known that in this article.
Yeah.
Static and Nankapoo.
Nankapoo?
Oh, and Finger, which they have the annual Finger Barbecue Festival, which now that sounds like a thing to go to.
Now, is it finger or fanger?
Well, it depends on where you're from. Being from here, it's Finger. 100%. But that led me to just, at first, I searched Nameless as well.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get in this as deep as you did in like figuring out, or on you searched Bitter End.
Yeah.
So I searched Nameless at first just to figure out what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it's not too far from us. But then I noticed that there was a section that said people also search for.
Ooh.
Turns out we're not the only place with a weird name towns, such as Accident, Maryland. That sounds like a lovely place to visit. It says "Welcome to Accident" on the sign. It does seem nice though.
Oh,
Like it's worth, like that would be a place to go to. Like I would, like that seems like it's a legit town. They actually have a population of 340 people.
I mean, we do want to head up that way at some point.
At some point. Now, we could also go to Boring, Oregon.
I don't know.
It doesn't look as boring as it sounds. But
well, I mean, it is Oregon.
What's fun, though, is there's another township on the Canadian side, and it's called Dole. And it says, "Welcome to Dole, paired with Boring, Oregon." There's also,
you have to play into it.
There's also Y, Arizona.
Yeah, why?
Why? Why not? You know, like that's what they thought when they named it. Now,
well,
a funny
there
one
should have been a why not to go along with the why.
What I find humorous is that there's a sign on a picture here, and it's literally, it says the town name Y,
Mm-hmm.
and then it says why? Gas, food, camping. They answered their own question. Why would we stop here? Well, we've got gas, we've got food, and we've got camping. It's everything that you need. And finally, the last one that I saw, I mean, there's several more on here,
Mm-hmm.
but like, it's Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Interestingly enough, we've been to Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Fine town.
Yeah.
Just a pretty weird name.
Yep.
And I don't know, I can't speak to why they named it Intercourse to be for sure. I haven't done the research on this, but it was where a lot of roads intersected, so I can only assume that they didn't really think about it at the time when they named that place. But nonetheless, it's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an Amish town, pretty much. So,
Fine place to be.
Yeah.
Fine place.
Oh, yeah, we loved Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Pennsylvania in general was great. It felt funny to be in a place called Intercourse. We didn't stay in Intercourse.
No.
We stayed in Strasbourg.
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend it.
1000%. Like, I want to go back. Let's go back.
We should go back. And then
let's plan it for next year, because at Longwood Gardens, that Crystal Palace thing will be finished then.
Oh, I'm glad you're still following that.
Well, see, what happened was this lady that I know through another lady posted about going there on Facebook, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best gardens I've ever been to. This place is absolutely amazing." I was like, "I love that place." So then we started talking about the Crystal Palace and how it was going to be done this Christmas.
Ah.
So yeah, if you ever go to Pennsylvania, go to Longwood Gardens.
Longwood Gardens is 100% one of the coolest places that I think we've ever been. Like, we've been to Biltmore Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to, like, the Sunken Gardens in Florida. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if you like, I mean, even if you don't like plants, like, you're going to find something cool there.
There's neat architecture stuff there.
It was pretty cool.
Like, it was fantastic. I loved it.
I would go back.
A wonderful day.
I don't know if I would stay in like the same place in Pennsylvania again, even though it was awesome.
Yeah.
But I would go back.
There's so many other places. Like, we've heard a lot of great stuff about Pennsylvania.
That's the funniest thing about traveling, though, is like we get to Pennsylvania and like you go to these restaurants and things, and like, and it's far different than where we live in Tennessee. And you get there and they're like, oh, so where are you from? And you tell them, they're like, why did you come here? And it's like, okay,
Why does anyone
why
go
do
to
people
where
come?
we are?
Why do people come to Tennessee? It's like we have mountains and stuff, but like
We got mountains and trees and yada yada yada. But
because you're used to it though. So it's like when you go on vacation, you go somewhere different. Pennsylvania, it was a pretty fun time.
I enjoyed it. And one of my favorite things from the trips, besides the gardens, was going to that grocery store with the little bitty carts for kids.
Yeah, that was fun. The whole thing was fun.
Yes, and getting food like down the road from the house that we stayed in. That was some good food.
Yeah. Well, you were just staying on the main street, which wasn't much, but
Yeah, which is totally abnormal from where we live because you don't really ever live like on the street.
yeah, I mean, it was like just it was what you were talking about a neighbor houses that were built in like the 1800s too.
Yeah.
So like that was just a different time and a different way of
Mhm.
life. Whenever we didn't really do much here back then, and
Yeah.
if we did, it wasn't very nice. It was hills and holler people, and it wasn't city folk.
We weren't
But
refined.
so what did you have? What story did you find? I'm a little worried about it, to be
Oh, you
perfectly
shouldn't be
honest.
worried. You shouldn't be worried. Um, so I kind of did a little search
Oh
of
wait, I
interesting.
forgot.
Oh,
I had a question that had to do
okay.
with towns, and I completely forgot.
Okay, what is your question?
So that made me think
Mm-hmm.
when we after seeing all these town names, like if you were to be able to name a town, because these seem like both somewhat pretty good names. I mean, like boring accident, but then like,
Mm-hmm.
could you do better? So if you were gonna name a town, what would you name your town?
Well, because I have totally sold in to all the family stuff, I
Mm.
would figure out a way to name
See, I
it.
completely marketed this different this time though. I created a whole
I
other
know,
universe. People don't even know.
I know, but I have totally sold into that since joining the Lees. That it's just a blast. I find a way to name it like family something.
Acres,
Yeah.
estates, Familyville. Yeah, I thought and talked about a while back, like doing those photo books,
Mhm.
and like we were making jokes about names that would be interesting. And
Mhm.
so I think I just want to have a town that makes you go, huh? That's when you roll in and like be purposeful though, not
Mhm.
just in name. Like we've been to some towns that are purposeful.
Yeah.
Helen, Georgia,
Yep.
very purposeful
Mhm.
town. If you don't know what Helen, Georgia is, it's a town in the mountains of Georgia meant to look like a German town,
Yep.
and they do a pretty decent job.
Mhm.
So my goal would be to have a town that you roll in and like everything you run into, it just makes you think like, huh?
So you'd be the Dr. Seuss town.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to be like that level, but it's like I wouldn't have expected that.
Mm.
An oasis in the desert. You just drive like, huh? Look at there. What about that? We should stop here. That's what I want people to think like, huh? I didn't even know this was here. We should
that's
stop.
that's what we think every
We
time
shouldn't
we
even
go
be
through
on a
that.
map. And then people are driving through like, huh? I didn't even see this. It's not even on the map.
So not incorporated or any like not even unincorporated.
Yeah, it's not like
Just
we're secret town.
yeah.
Like people don't even know about us. It's like that episode of Psych when they go to Twin Spires and
Like
it's a
a
super
real
weird name.
secret city.
Yeah. like no, this one's gonna stay a secret. If you know, you know. Don't talk about it. We're gonna have signs when you leave that specifically ask you not to tell people
Hmm.
about us. That's what Jesus tried though, and it didn't work for him.
No, it probably won't work for us either.
No, the more you
Being
tell
his
people
followers.
about it, and you have to change the name of the town to like, I wish they would have listened. Now it's just too busy. It's not fun anymore.
Supposed to be a secret.
It's like when we used to go to Blue Ridge, and it was fun because people didn't know about Blue Ridge. I'm
Yeah.
about done with just telling people about
I
things.
know.
I started doing that at work. I work at a large place, and there's like multiple places to park. And if you find a good place to park, you should just not tell anybody where you park.
Yeah.
That's my new rule. I'm not going to tell you about my secret parking spot because then you'll tell somebody else, and then I won't be able to park there anymore.
Exactly. Like
So-
you've had to change your parking spot how many times this
A
year?
lot. And so, like, if I tell people, I'm not going to tell people about what my town is,
Mm-hmm.
like what my new favorite town is, because it used to be Blue Ridge and Ellijay, and now they're just so busy all the time. It's no fun anymore.
It's crazy. Like I thought things would calm down now that like we've been through the COVID and whatnot. Like everything,
The COVID.
everything's
Now there's going to
about
be a little blurb under our podcast where it's going to say, like, to learn more about, and look what you did. You can't take it back. Now we're stuck.
My bad.
I'm just kidding.
Oh well. It's all lies. Just kidding. It was terrible sickness, but it didn't affect everyone the same.
Yeah, you just alienated yourself to a half of the audience.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you can tell me what
Yes.
your thing
So
is.
let me get to my story here. I had just searched interesting news.
Oh gosh, that's what I did to find out about bearded dragons on the loose.
Um, there are 17 sets of twins preparing to start school in this in one Scottish district. 17,
17 twins?
yeah,
Like
sets of twins.
Wow. So
About
34 kids
yeah,
are starting school at the same district.
yeah, in one Scottish district. So I don't know what's in that water, but don't go get you a glass.
That's the most realistic version of that statement that I've ever heard. like most of the time you can like, ha ha ha. No, there's something wrong there. Something weird is happening in this
like,
town.
and the picture of them, they're all about the same age.
Do
like,
they all have red hair?
No.
Oh, well, that was. I guess that's Irish people.
I mean, there is some strawberry blondes in there, but they're all pretty close in age. Like, I don't know what happened.
Well, I mean, they're all starting school at the same time. I think that means like they're all in the same grade. Prepare to start school in this Scottish district. They all look like they're the same age.
I told you.
That is so weird. Wow. I can't imagine. Those are some, like, they're not like copper-headed redhead kids, but these kids are pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is weird.
I told you, yeah.
I always thought it would be fun to have twins, but to be a teacher with 17 twins in your class would be difficult to deal with.
Well, you can't. Okay, so in our area, you can't have more than 20 kids in a class normally. So you couldn't even have all the kids. Like, you'd have to separate them into two classes and just put one half of the twin set here and one half over there.
Which that, like, I wonder how they decide to do that. Do we try to like split some of these kids from their sibling, or do we just keep them paired up? It'd be a lot easier for the teacher if you split it, right?
Yeah. Because then you're not getting the kids confused.
Yeah, because I would get them confused. There's no like.
But then, what if they switch classes?
How would you know?
Take each other's.
That's the thing about twins, and that is like if you have identical twins. Oh my gosh! Especially if they were anything like me. Like if I had identical twins, we obviously, but like if we had identical twins and they took after me, we're in trouble. Because I would have done that all the time to my parents. 100%. Like you'd had to mark us.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just no way.
There would have to be obvious signs. No, not allowed to wear the same colors, nothing.
But you can't control that. Like you'd legitimately have to mark us because they're like, we just swap clothes. You know,
it'd keep be like separate all the time.
Yeah, it'd be like on Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding. I am George. Oh my gosh.
Oh goodness.
So I've had another article, since you fancy yourself a builder.
Oh.
A builder of things.
Yes.
That says 5 Ryobi products so strange we can't help but want them. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like this is one of those articles where people like, I mean, it's on a website called Slash Gear, but this person doesn't really seem to know anything about tools.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like, I'm just trying to find a way to put articles out so we can get impressions and get ad revenue.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, which, hey, that's
you
the
do
world
what you got to do.
So the first one was a heavy-duty 4-in-1 stapler, and I'm like, well, that just seems normal as a stapler, right? This stapler is actually pretty awesome.
Oh.
4-in-1 does not mean what you think it would mean, because you assume 4-in-1 means it does like 4 different things.
Yeah.
It does the same thing, but with 4 different things, if that makes sense. It's a stapler, but it can just use different types of like staples. But where does it say it? Oh, goodness gracious. I've got to get better at this. I thought like it'd be easy to like read through these articles, but since I didn't highlight anything, it makes it a little bit harder to find what I'm looking for. So this stapler is able to use regular light duty staples, like, well, duh.
Yeah.
Heavy duty staples, makes sense. I don't know what round crown staples are, but it can do those. But the coolest part about this stapler is that it can shoot brad nails.
I need it!
Yeah. So you don't need a nail gun. You just have this stapler. Because, like, how often are we shooting brad nails? And you don't need a nailer. That's going to be expensive.
Yeah. What? How much is this?
I don't know. I haven't looked that far yet. So my favorite one on this list, though, is the compact cultivator. For those who don't know what a cultivator is, it's basically like it's the same concept as like a rototiller.
Mm-hmm.
You're tearing up the dirt in a garden. But
Mm-hmm.
what I like about this, and this is what made me think that they didn't really know what they're talking about, is it says when you own your own garden or flower bed.
Like,
I don't think many people rent them.
yeah.
I don't think there's
I
many people
mean,
who rent a
maybe
flower
some
bed.
people like in actual like cities where they do like community garden
Yeah.
spaces.
But it's just funny to me, like, I feel like, and I think it's just that mindset of that I have of like, you should have not said it that way.
Yeah.
Like, you could have said that better. Like, why wouldn't somebody just say, when you have a garden or flower bed?
Yeah.
but but I didn't know that they had this. So it's a handheld cultivator. So instead of
Mm.
having to have like a big tiller or something like we used this year to do our garden,
Yeah.
like, which, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's actually kind of pointless now that I
Yeah.
think about it. Because like the big one, you're trying to do a big section, and if like this thing's convenient because it's small, but
But you should be able to
like the example picture that they show, they're actually doing it like in a
in a raised bed.
well, not even that though. It's only like 4 inches wide.
Yeah. It's like a planter.
The dirt shouldn't even be that hard in the
Yeah.
first place. So I don't know. I thought it was cool, and now I'm realizing that I probably am just dumb. Like, I
But
really
you're
did.
pretty.
Thank you. They also have an outdoor patio cleaner, which seems cool, but at the same time, like you'd have to do that so much.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand. And then they show like a backpack blower and sprayer thing, which is for like spraying chemicals into your yard.
Oh, yeah.
Not big into that. And then a kinetic log splitter, which is pretty cool. But how often are you really splitting logs?
I mean, it would have been handy the other day when you cut up that giant branch, but
Well, but I mean, like this is like to make firewood.
we don't have
We don't have like
a wood.
we don't have a wood burning fire.
Yeah.
But like that stuff seems cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then it rolled into like smart gadgets that you didn't know existed. And I feel like I knew that most of this existed. A shower head with a speaker in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
This is then they have like a piggy bank, which I don't understand. Now, the concept makes sense to me, but I would also hate this.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Ruggy, the alarm clock rug. And I think the premise here is that you have to step off onto this rug in order to get it to stop making noise. So it forces you to get out of bed.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if it's set to your exact weight or something, because as a person who doesn't like to wake up in the mornings, I would cheat it.
I don't know if there's a way to cheat that, but
if it's
I don't know how it works. My thing is, I am a weirdo, and I really like to wake up and go back to sleep. Mm-hmm. So I really like to hit the snooze button, but not because it's like, oh, I don't want to get up. Like I do it on purpose. I actually have my alarm go off early just so that I can like just turn it off and go back to sleep. Yeah. And I don't know if a lot of people do that. The only thing there's another thing on here with gadgets you didn't know existed, and it's called the Ghost Smart Bed. And I feel like there's a very good reason that I don't know that this existed. And that's because who wants to sleep in a bed that reminds you of a ghost every time you're going to bed? Exactly. like I don't care how nice your bed is, it's ruined my sleep now. Yeah. Like I was watching a documentary last night after you fell asleep. It had nothing to do with anything like that. It was just about like, it was about like real life stuff happening. Mm-hmm. And it had to do with like a little bit of like violence, like, and I was like a little nervous. I don't know why. Like I got up and go to the bathroom. It's dark in here. And I'm like, what if somebody wanted to attack me? Like I don't know. And it wasn't even about like a murder type thing. Yeah. It was weird. So I was like, I don't think I want a bed that's going to make me think of ghosts every time I get ready to go to bed. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it. And you know me, I can't do anything sort of ghosty, spooky like that. I'm out. I'm 100% out. Don't do it. So that would not be allowed in my house. If it was in a store, I'd probably have to walk out. Or at least walk away.
Yeah. Now, how about a intelligent toilet? Not a smart toilet. An intelligent toilet.
What
toilet?
Toilet.
Yeah. An intelligent one. Apparently, this toilet from Kohler allows you to set your preferred seat temperature and dictate the temperature and pressure of your water cleanse and air dry. It's like an automatic car wash.
So it's a bidet, not a toilet. It's a bidet.
It says it's a toilet. I think it can do both. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's capable. I don't know how
I,
much this costs, but it has Alexa integrated into the toilet, meaning you can control it with your voice, which apparently makes it a convenient bathroom experience, especially when you want to remain hands-free. But so that seems bizarre to me. And it also allows you to display ambient lighting, play music.
how long you going potty for?
Yeah, when this things get this intense, and store distinct profiles for each member of your household, which makes me curious how it knows that it's you. Like, how does the toilet
A
know?
booty scan.
How does it know who is who whenever you go to the bathroom? That just seems so bizarre to me. There's also scientists at Stanford that are working on a toilet that will analyze what you've done and make sure you're safe. So, like, every time you go to the bathroom, what you produce is looked at to make sure that you're still healthy. Hey, that's convenient. That kind of eliminates the need to go to the doctor. I think I broke her.
I can't.
I heard that that nowadays, and like, I hate to be on these kind of subjects because I don't know how I'd feel if I was listening to this, but you know that, like, you can mail that, like, that's how they do those tests now.
The colonoscopy test?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd go in a bag and you mail it.
Yep.
Like, no matter how you slice that, it's awkward.
Yeah.
We've had to do it for the dog before, where, like, they want you to go in the yard and pick it up and just drop it off in a doggy bag at the vet. And, like, that's weird, let alone if you had to do it for yourself.
Man, the smell room stinks today.
It has to be sealed. So, the top of the line. Now, this tool again. This tool this is not the one at Stanford that analyzes what you've done. This is just the smart toilet.
You mean the intelligent toilet?
Sorry, yes. Well, this one says smart on their website, so I don't know why they changed it. I'm on Kohler's. I went to the source. I wanted to know.
So did they.
I wanted to know the truth. So you can also get it in black, which is for an extra $1,000, you can get it in black. What does the top of the line toilet run you these days? Like, what do you think? Like, if I'm gonna go out and buy the best, like, I'm not just gonna buy any run of the mill.
Well, you just said $1,000 get you $1,000 extra dollars.
Well, you're looking at the price now.
No, I'm not. I can't see the price.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! Like, I don't
what do you
know
think
what a toilet costs.
You can also add install service. Huh. So what do you think? Like, if you just had to guess, like, what is the best toilet on the market? What is that going to run you? I assume it's the best.
Well,
it's not gold plated or anything. It should be.
Oh, are we talking $500,000?
No.
Kind of range?
No, nowhere near that. It's an $8,000 toilet.
Though. Oh my god! So $9,000 gets
like,
you black.
You spent how much on a toilet, and you know what you do with it, right? So, like, why in the world? And
what's a regular toilet cost?
Not that much money. It's probably just like a couple $100. I don't know.
Like, wow.
I'm not big on researching toilet. I mean, you can get a toilet right now for $94 at Home Depot.
Like,
it's not the best toilet you can buy, but it'll work. It does the purpose. That's funny. You can either spend $95 or $9,000 on a toilet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the cheap one.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like, if we had to buy a toilet, right? I love that this is what the first episode of this podcast is going to have this much time dedicated to talking about toilets. But this is what you're going to get.
Yep.
Wow. Anyway, if I was going to go buy a toilet today, I don't even know how you pick that. Like, I understand certain things. Like, you go in there and you're looking at, like, a washing machine. And it's like, well, this washing machine does these things. Okay.
Well,
still, I bought the cheapest washing machine you could buy.
I don't think it was the cheapest.
I'm pretty sure it was, like, pretty much the cheapest one.
I mean, the first ones we did were.
Well, but we bought, like, basically the cheapest new one that you could buy.
But it's because all the other, like, the things that you get into when you go into higher prices, it was unnecessary. Yes, the removable agitator stick thingy.
That's not.
That would be good at times.
But we're not talking about washing machines. I'm just making a point. Like, you go in there and, like, I understand how different things, like, you could make a choice. Like, well, the doors on the refrigerator are laid out in this configuration, or I really like that it has like the drink thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like a toilet is a toilet, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know how you'd even pick.
Well, for you being such a tall guy and me being a short
But I just
lady,
mean,
like there's finding that perfect height that's comfortable for everybody.
well, either way, somebody's sacrificing on that one. But I'm just saying, like, you go into the store and what do? Like, hey, what's your favorite toilet? Like, I don't know which one to get. And you're not like, you can't go in there and like, I don't think you just go in there and sit on a bunch of toilets and figure out.
No, I think they actually have them up in Home Depot. Like they're above your head.
So it's like, I don't
above
know
my
how
head.
you pick that sort of thing. Yeah. I don't know how you pick that sort of thing, though. It's like, I don't know.
Measure the toilet that you like.
What do you have in store? I'll take that one. What's the easiest one to get out right now? I don't know.
I need it in white.
I didn't
My
know
wife won't let me come home with anything else.
I didn't know that toilets had features.
Yeah.
Like, why does it need features? I've never, like, I understand the toilet seat can be cold, but at the same time, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a big enough deal to me.
Yeah.
It's just, but yeah.
Interesting.
That was one found on complete accident. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just funny to me.
One of the other things that I found was a woman was attacked by a snake and a hawk at the same time while mowing.
Like, okay, well that's unclear. So like, there's so many questions here though. Like, did a snake fall on the woman, and the hawk had the snake and then came, or like the hawk got her and then she jumped off and then there was a snake?
So this was in Texas apparently. A snake wrapped itself around the woman after falling from the sky, and then a hawk swoops down to try to get it and gets her arm in the process.
So obviously the hawk has the snake.
Yep.
It drops the snake.
Yep.
The snake falls on the lady. It's freaking out.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
The hawk says, that's dinner. I got to get that. And then ends up going after the woman. That's crazy.
Yep.
So I have so many ways that I could go with this.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've had a fish fall in your yard.
That wasn't even where I was going to go. I was sitting one time when I was younger, and I hear this like loud noise outside. I'm like, what in the world? And so we go outside and look. It's like me and my grandma and my little brother, and we go outside, and there's just a fish. A big fish.
And he's not like, the lake isn't in his backyard.
It's not far.
Yeah, it's not far, but
you can't see it.
Yeah. Can't see it, can't hear it, can't smell it. You drive down 3 minutes and you get it.
Yeah. So like, it's like, where in the world? And then you start looking at it, and it's like, you could tell that like a bird must have had this fish and just dropped it right in the front yard. But what I was going to say.
Did you leave it? Did it come back for it?
No, I think we did leave it for a little while, and then we just threw it in the woods, but I didn't come back for it. So I was reading other articles, and there was one that somebody found a snake in a Target buggy.
In the Target buggy?
One more reason not to go to Target.
Yep.
But it looked like
adding up.
They just first they did stuff, and now this. Like, well, I guess it makes sense why a snake would be there. Yeah, it's too far. Anyways, so, but it looked like a ball python. So like, this is a snake that somebody like did that. Like they put it in the thing.
What happened is mom and dad went into the Target, and teenage Jimmy went over to the PetSmart.
It was a big one. This was a full grown like ball python in a buggy from Target.
We've seen some adult animals.
I guess, but that was
when
just
they
crazy.
Start marking them down, and Jimmy's like, "Oh, I got $50 for my allowance."
I guess,
and walks it out, and mom's like, "No!" and smacks his hand.
I'm just gonna leave it
she's
here.
She's scared of the snake, and it falls into the buggy, and she's like, "Get in the car."
Man, that would be a trip though. Like, you pull out a buggy, and then there's just a snake in it, and then there was a hotel, and they found snakes in the hot tub.
Oh,
yeah.
So, were they water snakes?
I didn't read the article.
Okay.
I just saw that they were in like the hot tub and then the pool, which is a trip in its own right. The other thing that I was thinking too is, so like, talking about birds attacking. I used to watch a lot of fishing videos, and I was watching this guy fishing. He's in a kayak, and he's fishing with like a topwater bait, and it's like a topwater frog, and this owl starts like circling overhead at him, and he's like still fishing. All of a sudden, the owl comes and tries to get the lure, like hits the water to try to get the lure, and then it obviously like hooks the owl.
Yeah.
And so this guy's in a kayak, and he had to get the
Oh my
owl.
goodness.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, you'd cut the line.
You would hope, and then hope, but you want the owl to live, like because he was struggling because when they get wet, they can't fly well. I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh. So along with that line of thinking, one time I was on a whitewater rafting trip after on church camp, and the boat with all of the ministers was pulled off to the side, and lo and behold, a snake falls into the boat, and they all start screaming like little girls, and it was hilarious.
Wow.
They did get the snake out of the boat and then join the rest of us, but yeah, that was a really funny thing to witness.
That sounds hilarious. Well, it sounds like our chickens are freaking out.
Oh.
So I think,
is it the chickens or is there dogs barking?
I just can't tell. And we've talked a lot about tullets and a lot about other things. I did find a gold tullet.
Oh.
So like that.
But
it's $800, so you're still getting a great discount compared to that other tullet.
But is it an intelligent toilet?
I don't know, and I don't care to find out. It is at Home Depot.
Oh.
But I still wouldn't want a gold tullet.
No.
I don't understand things like that. But we hope this first podcast episode was pretty interesting. Hopefully we'll get better at this, and like we have some really fun conversations sometimes when we're driving places or just hanging out. And so I'm just hoping to be able to capture some of that and honestly just give some people something fun and encouraging to listen to.
Yeah.
But if you want to reach out to us, I did create an email address that's moregodlessmepodcast@gmail.com. So if you have anything to say or you have any kind of funny news articles, you can totally send them our way because we would love to talk about them. If you have any topics that you'd love to hear us talk about that get into that realm of silly stuff, more than appreciated. I really want this episode of the podcast to be as lighthearted and fun as possible. Or this
segment,
podcast, whatever.
Section of the podcast.
Yeah. This is, I imagine we're probably going to have to like split these up at some point. But in order to do that, you have to have either 3 different email addresses or you have to have one of the podcast ones you like pay for. And so like right now, it seems easiest just to post them all into the same thing. And that way, like, if you like any of our content, then you can find all of our content easier. Yeah. Even though it could be a pain if you only like one of the shows. Probably this one, instead of listening to me drone on by myself.
Listen, we all know I'm going to end up joining you on some of the other ones at times. So you just have to listen and find out which ones I'm in.
Yep. I think that's all we've got, though.
Yep.
We hope it was good. Chickens. Yeah. We better go see what they're doing.
All right. Y'all have a blessed day.
See ya. Whoops.